Hi, hello, good morning. Actually, I'm here right now at Maui Medical Group because I'm having my blood test. Actually, I came from the clinic a while ago and they said that I need to grab a number. And fortunately, my number is number 44. That's why I decided to come back here at my car and thought of sharing some spiritual things about faith. Um, but before I proceed, I'd like to greet you, aloha kakahiyaka. Maybe you ask what does it mean by kakahiyaka? Because in Tagalog it means shame on you. But not so in Hawaiian. In Hawaiian, kakahiyaka means good morning. How about aloha? What does it mean by aloha? Um, according to what I heard from one of the lecturers at UH Maui, Mr. Tanaka, the word aloha is more than an ordinary greeting like hello or good morning. Actually, the word aloha is composed of two words, the alo and the ha. Alo means face and ha means breath. It's a breath of life. It is the picture of breathing face to face with somebody, which was one of the practices of ancient Hawaiians. That if you breathe, you inhale and you exhale. So it is, or it implies receiving and giving and receiving the breath or the breath of life, which comes from God, because God is the source of breath or life. And it implies blessings. So in other words, aloha means it is sharing the blessings that comes from God with graciousness and unconditional love until it touches the soul of others. So in other words, it implies the desire to see others succeed and blessed. So if we say kakahiyaka, aloha or aloha kakahiyaka, it means good morning, I wish you well, and I wish God will bless you. This time, I'd like to share to you about giants. I heard President Duterte during his press conference, he said that this coronavirus is the public enemy number one. Ang dambuhalang kalaban. A giant foe. Why? Because it's not just an epidemic, it's a pandemic. It affected the whole world that caused panic to so many people. That's why he said that anybody who can discover a vaccine to fight against this virus, he will give or he will grant 10 million, I don't know, dollars or pesos, or even pesos is a big amount of money. The problem is, can we knock down a giant? But before we answer, let's go back to the Bible, see what the Bible says about these things. Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 22. I like this verse. Deuteronomy 3:22. It says, "Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will fight for you." That's why it's not our battle. It's God's. So the Lord your God will fight for you. And if we think about the giant, the first thing that comes to our mind is David and of course Goliath. I love the stories of David, especially all his adventures, because they really relate to our everyday lives. David actually became great and famous after he defeated the giant Goliath. That's why sometimes I say, if you want to be great, fight Goliath or fight the giant, the giants of life. So since then, he became the national hero. He became the darling of the crowd. People love him so much, more than they love King Saul. And that made King Saul jealous, to the point that he wanted to kill David. That's why you can see what jealousy and envy can do. Really dangerous. But don't you know that after killing Goliath, there were other giants who continued to challenge him and fight against him? What do you mean by that? I'm not talking of a literal giant. It's like the giant of temptation, when he was tempted of this beautiful woman Bathsheba, or when he murdered Uriah, or his problem concerning his son Absalom, who made a threat against him. So in other words, my dear brothers and sisters, although David won against this giant Goliath, he was defeated on some other of his battles. Tinalo niya si Goliath, pero natalo siya kay Bathsheba. So, hindi niya nakayanan yung temptation ng isang babae na mahilig maligo. Just like us every day. Every day we face many challenges and many giants. We fight many giants every day. They're not physical, but they're spiritual. They are the spiritual test of our faith. Sometimes we are not aware. Maybe sometimes we forget. Sometimes we win. But there are times that we fail. But the good news is, that does not mean that we are failure. And that does not make us a loser. It only reminds us that we have a God who loves us so much. A God who in spite of our weaknesses, has never gave up on us. He continued to love us and empower us until we win. That's why the lesson that we can get from the life of David, if you focus on your giants, you will fall. If you focus on God, you will win. I repeat, if you focus on your giant, you will fall. But if you focus on God, you will win. As we read the story of David in 1 Samuel chapter 17, take time to notice the number of times he talked about God and the number of times he talked about Goliath. There are 9 references concerning God. And there are only 2 references concerning the giant, concerning Goliath. So what does it mean by that? What is in the mind of David during that time? So I can see here that during that time, the mind of David was God. The mind of David was on God, because it's 9 references compared to only 2 for the giant. My dear brothers and sisters, in our tough times, are you thinking more about God, or you're thinking more about your problems? Are you pondering more about the strength of God, or you're pondering more about the strength of your enemy? Because the more you ponder, about the strength of your enemy, the more you see yourself weak and helpless. But if you ponder more about the strength of God, the stronger you will become. Actually, that's what faith means. Faith is more than a positive thinking without any basis or ground. Faith is trusting on the capability of God. I repeat, faith is trusting on the capability of God. Well, it's not wrong. It's not wrong for us to know and be aware of the things that are happening around. But if we think more about the enemy and we think less about the capability of God to defeat the enemy, then now maybe you know the reason why your giants are bringing you down. You want to knock down your giant? Think more on God. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss to you the 5 stones that David picked up and what those 5 stones represents and how we apply those 5 stones so that we can surely defeat our Goliaths. And this is based from one of my favorite authors, Max Lucado. Focusing your giants or facing your giants, I should say. I'm excited. I'm excited to share you these secrets of winning the battle against our giants. Are you excited also? Antabayanan mga kapatid. Mahalo. God bless.